because we're working with an environment non-government organisation called Environment 360 to assist the ladies to actually grow their income and innovate. So we're going to be working with them to help them become social entrepreneurs, and instead of collecting the waste and selling it at a very low cost, they're going to be collecting it and they're actually going to be recycling it and coming up with ideas to make things out of the waste that they can sell for a bigger profit to support themselves and their families.
That takes me to the Christmas tree, solar Christmas tree.
Yeah, Ghana's first, I'm pretty sure it's Ghana's first ever, we're calling it #Boer Solar, because boar, I think, means rubbish, and solar. So it's Ghana's first ever solar-powered recycled plastic Christmas tree that McCarthy built for us from Macintosh, Africa. And he's another example of a young, energetic Ghanaian who's making a difference. And he's found an opportunity to turn waste into an economic benefit. I think he's now made 3 Christmas trees. We've put our Christmas tree out on the street so everyone can enjoy it.
That is worth emulating.
It's great, isn't it?
Right, it is. So you talk about Environment 360. How sustainable? Because I think this falls within the climate change agenda. Is that right?
That's right. Look, here in Ghana, there are so many things that I love. But one of the things that I don't like, to be honest, is the plastic pollution. It makes me sad that such a beautiful country and such a beautiful environment is polluted with the plastics. And particularly when you look in the creeks and rivers that run into the sea, we know it's really bad for human health because it doesn't decompose like banana skins. It actually forms tiny little pieces called microplastics that get into our food chain and we end up eating it. So I'm always interested in helping people who are interested in getting plastics under control. And in Australia, what we've done to fix the plastic pollution problem is we've created a circular economy. So our Prime Minister has announced ambitious targets. By 2025, all packaging material has to be recycled. So it has to come from recycled materials and it has to be recyclable when it's finished being used. So we're creating a circular economy, and that's creating demand for activities like the work of Environment 360 and Macintosh Africa here in Ghana. So I think the plastic pollution, although I see it and it breaks my heart, I also think here's an opportunity for Ghana to create a new, vibrant industry to recycle plastics, create jobs, and also create a cleaner, more beautiful Accra.
That's a very brilliant initiative, I must say. Now, let's talk about, usually after major elections, things are slow, especially with COVID. How optimistic are you about Ghana's economy?
So look, the whole world has really been disturbed by COVID. But here in Ghana and in Africa, I think, particularly in West Africa, the health impacts of COVID haven't been as serious as they have been in, say, Europe, for example. But the economic impacts have been immense. And I know, for example, many people are unemployed and have lost their jobs. And this is a real challenge for Ghana and for the whole world to get through COVID. And I think it's really good what Ghana has done, and the Ghanaian government, for example, in keeping the airport open and having on-arrival COVID testing. It's allowing Ghana to continue to play that regional economic hub role as a centre. And I'm really proud too of Ghanaians for their response to COVID with masking, the Veronica buckets, using hand sanitizer. But just like the President said a few weeks ago, he'd noticed people had stopped wearing masks. I worry about that.
We've become very complacent.
And you and I are socially distancing.
Yes,
so
we do.
We
don't need that.
But if we were closer, we would be
then
masking.
Yes, we'll be masking.
And when I step outside the door, I always mask.
You have to mask.
But we need to keep up with those protocols until we get through COVID. And I'll be really interested to to watch and listen to Ghana's response, and the President did mention it yesterday, Sunday night, about the vaccinations. So in Australia, we've actually purchased 4 vaccines, and our government's made a commitment that every Australian who wants to be vaccinated will be vaccinated for free in 2021. And that's probably the single biggest thing we can do to get our economies going again.
Right.
Vaccinate ourselves like we do with yellow fever and polio and other diseases, and then move on. And so we've contributed Australia through the Garvey initiative, tens of millions of dollars to support developing countries across the world, including Ghana, to access vaccines. And then in our region, in the Pacific region, we've committed hundreds of millions of dollars to support all of our Pacific Island neighbours to vaccinate. And so, look, I'm really looking forward to getting a vaccination and marching forward with everybody else to recover from COVID.
All right. So finally, there is hope.
That's right.
Yeah. We can go back to our normal lives again.
Exactly. The vaccination is going to give us hope. And we can see the vaccines are already being approved in a number of countries, and people are getting those vaccinations. And I'll be one of the first people willing to roll up my sleeve here in Ghana and have a vaccination.
Well, 5 months in this country is still early days yet. Let's look at what have you penned down to enhance relations between Ghana and Australia.
So there are many areas that I want to focus on, and we've already mentioned gender equality, which is a big one, and I mentioned the strength of the mining sector, and the mining sector will continue to be really important. However, I'd like to go beyond mining, and that doesn't mean no mining, that means mining plus. And Australia is a lot more than a mine. And to give you an example of that, the single biggest foreign exchange earner we have in Australia is tourism. So we make more foreign exchange from tourism than we do from our mining exports. And we are one of the biggest mining countries in the world. And actually, just this weekend, I met a Ghanaian Australian running a lovely cafe called Aussies down on the beach. And that's the sort of area that I think we can focus more on. Australian investment in Ghana's tourism sector, and Australian investment and two-way trade and investment on things like fashion. The fashion here in West Africa is incredible, and what I'm wearing today
I was
is
going to come to that. So this is beautiful. That's the combination of 2 fabrics.
Yeah, so what I've tried to do with this is I have a fashion designer, Mag Burr, and actually, thanks to Mag Burr, I have an indigenous fabric from Australia.
This is Australian.
Yeah, this is indigenous Australian fabric, and I've combined it into an African kaftan style. But I just adore the fabrics and the prints here. And within a week of arriving, I stopped wearing those stuffy Western suits.
Yeah, sure.
And started wearing
this
kaftans.
weather. Kaftans are the best.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think there's a huge potential for Ghana, for example, to be exporting fabrics and fashion, and not just the actual clothes, but fashion design. We talked about education and Australians. We talked about education and Ghanaians learning in Australia. Well, I could see Ghana exporting fashion design as a skill. I think many Australians would love to come to Ghana and study fashion design here in Ghana. And that would be another source of foreign exchange revenue for Ghana. Yeah,
and for both countries also. So how do we take this project on? Because I don't want it to be just a conversation we are having.
No.
But then we talk about it. I need to make sure that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
How do we make that happen?
Let's make it our personal project.
All right.
It's only 5 months, so I still don't know the answer. But if we make it a project and make it a priority, like I've made gender equality and plastic pollution priorities, I'm sure we can achieve it.
You seem to get most of your messages out there via social media. You are a social media enthusiast. Why? Has it always been so, or it's because of the nature of your job?
I think Ghanaians are really active on social media, and the beauty of social media is it's another way to communicate with people. But what I try to do on social media is not communicate at people or communicate at Ghana, but have a conversation. And so one of the reasons I think people are interested and have been following me and sharing my posts is I actually try to reply to people and answer their questions.
You're very engaging.
And I think that's a benefit of social media. The traditional media like this is immensely valuable and has a really important role to play, but we can't actually have a conversation with our audience as well as having this conversation together. So I think social media can complement the media, and for me, I think it's a really important part of my job, communication. And as an Australian who has Indigenous ancestry, in Australia, Indigenous Australians, we have what we call dreamings or totems. So they're often an animal or something in nature that is kind of like, almost like a national flag, but from an Indigenous cultural perspective. And so my dreaming that I inherited is a bird called the lyrebird, which is a bird that lives in the forest in Australia that speaks the language of all the other birds. It can copy any sound, including human sounds.
Mimic
And
all
mimicking, yeah. And so the dreaming story or the totem story about that bird is that it has a responsibility to communicate across cultures and across people. Because actually Australia, before Europeans arrived, we had over 250 different languages. So there were over 250 different nation groups with different languages and cultures. And the lyrebird and the people who had the totem of the lyrebird, it was their job to communicate across all of those cultures and languages. So I think perhaps my totem or my dreaming is driving me to be a diplomat and communicate between Ghana and Australia and with Ghanaians.
In the animal kingdom, you would have been a parrot.
Probably, yeah.
Well, that's really nice to know. So, what next for you? What next? Well, because you are considered as one of the most effective diplomats here in Ghana. Is it something that's with the Australian diplomats? Are you trained on that? Because earlier I had asked whether this has to do with your personality as well. And you said, yes, it's a combination of both your personality and, of course, the job, putting Australia on the world map. I think you've done a great job with that. What would you like your colleague diplomats to do in also promoting their countries out there? Because it's all about promoting your country. It is only when you sell that people can buy. When you promote Ghana, made in Ghana in Australia, people would begin to want to know more about Ghana. Here you are selling Australia to us.
Yes.
Yeah, before you came in, I'm sure we didn't have so many people getting so much interested in the affairs of Australia, who they are, what they are made of. Now everybody wants to experience Australia because of you.
Yes.
Yes.
And so, look, I'm a diplomat, but actually to be a diplomat in Australia, you have to be a public servant or a civil servant. And so my job is to work for the people of Australia. And the people of Australia pay their taxes, and their taxes are paying my salary. And my
service to the people.
That's right.
It's not supposed to be the other way around.
That's right.
Where the people rather serve you.
Exactly.
Because we are paying you.
That's exactly right. So my job is to be accountable to the Australian public. And while I'm here in Ghana, my job is also to show utmost respect to Ghana and Ghana's people and Ghana's laws. So that's what drives me. That's what gives me energy. The opportunities that I see and the warmth of the Ghanaian people give me that energy as well. But I wouldn't ever compare myself to other diplomats. I always compare myself to me, and I always do my best. And back in Australia, we do get a lot of training, and we have very strict laws about accountability and anti-corruption. And so if I came here and just put my feet up and relaxed, I'd lose my job, and I should lose my job, because my job here is actually to represent and advocate for Australia and to build links and understanding and cooperation with the government of Ghana and the peoples of Ghana and the other countries that I'm accredited to, and to team up with other organisations as well. And so, for example, in Agbogbloshie, where we funded the solar panels for the health centre, UNICEF and the government of France were also supporting the same project. And there were young girls, teenage girls, funded by the government of France, and their job was to promote awareness on menstrual health and hygiene and help kids adjust to being teenagers and grow up. And so my job is to work with everyone here, and I'm always on duty as a High Commissioner.
Talking of corruption, I saw a post on your Facebook, and you are collaborating with a few other institutions here in the country to...
Yes, yeah. So look, I'm really interested in the impacts of corruption everywhere in the world. Corruption is a problem that occurs everywhere, but what we know is where you have strong institutions and independent institutions, they can hold people accountable. So in Australia, very senior officials and politicians have gone to jail for corruption, and that's because we have not only strict laws, but we have strong institutions to monitor and hold people accountable. But corruption actually hinders economic growth and hinders human rights, and it occurs everywhere, and so we always need to be vigilant. And there is a global organisation called Transparency International, and they operate in Australia, and they also scrutinise our aid program in our Pacific Island neighbours, for example, to make sure that money isn't corrupted. And so, of course, just like I'm interested in gender equality and the mining sector and fashion, I wouldn't be doing my job if I ignored the issue of corruption.
All right. Good to know. This will be your first Christmas in Ghana.
It will. And actually, I was listening to Boney M. Christmas carols this morning in the car with my family. So my family have just arrived, and I can't wipe my smile off my face because we're all having Christmas together after being apart for quite a long time. But I think actually, as an Australian, often when we go overseas for Christmas, it feels different. And it either feels different because many of our Asian neighbours, they're not Christian countries. So Christmas is kind of like a bit of a commercial activity, and there are Santa Clauses at shopping centres. But it's not a public holiday, and it's not a religious occasion. And then also when we go to many other countries that are more traditionally Christmas countries, it's cold and it's snowing. What I like about Ghana is it feels just like Australia, because Christmas is summer in Australia, so like Christmas is usually a time to get together with family and be outdoors and to have barbecues and enjoy the sun, and that's what
Meet people.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really looking forward to my first Christmas in Ghana.
And I'm so happy that you have Rachel and the kids around.
Yeah, thank you. Me too.
How are they adjusting though?
Well, they just arrived 2 days ago, so they're a little bit jet lagged. And this morning I've been helping my son Noah set up a basketball hoop. And they've been done a school visit, so they're looking forward to starting school.
Very soon.
Yeah, very soon. And I think they're going to love it here in Ghana.
Do they miss their friends already back in Australia?
It's probably a little bit too early to say, but I know that they have been, because they have jet lag, they've been waking up early, and because it's the opposite time of the day, they can talk to their friends online. So they've been FaceTiming and WhatsApping their friends in Australia, sharing pictures of coffee and Rika and our tortoise Brucey.
Interesting.
Yeah.
During Ghana's election this past December 7, we saw some Australian... So, December 7, we saw Australian election observers in the country.
Yes.
How was that? How did it go?
That was really good to contribute. We teamed up with the United Kingdom and with Canada to contribute to the election observations. And yeah, my team reported that everything went really well. And Ghana has one of the strongest and most robust democracies in Africa. And I think African countries should also be proud of themselves, because 3/4 of Africa's countries are democracies, and there are a lot of places in the world where people have no right at all to choose who the government is in their country. But here in Ghana, what I noticed and what my election observation team noticed is how much Ghanaians love their democracy. I think 78 or 79% voter turnout, particularly when voting isn't compulsory here in Ghana, is very impressive. In Australia, we have mandatory voting, so you get fined if you don't vote. So about 99% of people vote.
That's a very good policy.
It is a good policy, yeah. We would encourage other countries
I think
to take
so,
it up.
to do same.
What mandatory voting does is it makes sure that vulnerable and disadvantaged people are included, because generally what you observe in democracies is where mandatory voting doesn't exist, the people who are least likely to vote are the people who are the most marginalised and disadvantaged. So it gives a strong voice to everyone in society and avoids distortions of different groups being overrepresented.
What do you do for leisure?
For leisure, I like to get up every morning and walk coffee and rika. That's my routine. I like listening to music. I really enjoy spending time with my family. And I love gardening. So here at the High Commission, actually, I've converted the back of our High Commission, which was just lawn. I've actually now got 10 chickens, 10 guinea fowls and 5 turkeys.
Yeah, the High Commission.
Yeah, and then I've got a big vegetable garden, and I've also got some recycled Kufor gallons that we've used to make a vertical garden on the back wall of the High Commission. So I like spending time in the garden.
And you love music. What kind of
Yes.
music do you listen to?
Well, I like a lot of different music. In terms of the music here in Africa, I really like Wiala and Sarkodie, and I really like some of the South African musicians as well.
Jerusalem.
Yeah, exactly. I felt a bit embarrassed to say that when I first arrived here. I thought I wasn't being loyal enough to Ghana, but South Africa has some very good musicians. But also, you look, I really like Aretha Franklin, Boney M, ABBA. There's some great Australian musicians as well, like Yothu Yindi, Indigenous band Yothu Yindi, and Missy Higgins is another great folk artist, and Casey Chambers. I like listening to Atlantis FM actually here.
How rhythmic are you?
I actually think their music is my generation, because I'm 52.
Oh.
And so the music from the 80s and 90s is kind of like the music from when I was like in my 20s.
All right, so you're able to move to some of the tunes.
Yeah,
Is that right?
yeah. I love disco. I really like
Oh,
disco.
one of these days we should do disco.
Definitely.
What do you think?
Well, I've had this idea for a COVID-safe disco here at the High Commission.
Oh.
And I thought we could actually do it by the swimming pool, but you have to keep people apart.
Yeah,
it'd have to
social
be
distancing.
outdoors, and we could make circles with fairy lights, and then each person, only one person is allowed in each circle, and each circle is like 2 meters apart. And so it wouldn't be as exciting, I don't think, as a traditional disco, but it's a good interim policy.
Yes, I think it's fine. For now, that's what we can come out with.
I have
so
to
it's
say,
okay.
that's one of the things I miss during COVID. I
Oh.
miss
Dancing.
Yeah.
You must be a good dancer.
I'm not sure about that. Africans are very good dancing. Africans are
We
some
are
of the
very
best
rhythmic.
dancers
Trust
I
me
know,
on that.
yeah.
Favorite Ghanaian food?
Favorite Ghanaian
I heard
food?
about the fufu. You
Yeah.
kept for after 2 days, and you had to warm it to eat again.
I
Was it
did.
that nice?
I eat leftovers. I don't like food waste. And so what I did with the fufu is I left the leftover fufu in the short soup and to absorb the flavour, and then I just heated it up in the microwave. My cook Cecilia made it for me on a Friday.
But
then
what type of fufu was it? Because we have the yam fufu and
Yes.
then we have the cassava fufu.
It was the
with
yam
plantain.
fufu.
It was a yam fufu.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
you shouldn't have kept that. The
Yeah.
cassava fufu together with the plantain, that would have been great,
Yeah.
having to store it and eat it the next time. But, well, that's okay. Final
Yeah.
words from you,
Yes.
Your Excellency.
Well, my final word to Ghana would be thank you so much for having me in your beautiful country. And I thank the government of Ghana and all the peoples of Ghana. And I'm really looking forward to spending the next 3.5 to 4 years here with my family. But more importantly, I'm really looking forward to helping Ghana deal with some of these big picture issues like climate change and like sustainable economic development and like plastics pollution and gender equality. And until every girl in the world has the same opportunities as my daughter, and my daughter and every girl has the same aspirations and hopes as my son, and never has to put a blanket over thinking, I can't do that because I'm a girl. Until we reach that day, we need to stay focused on gender equality.
Thank you very much for your time. It's been so good having you on this show. I'm sure when it's time for you to go, we wouldn't want to let you go.
Oh, thank you, Harriet. I'll be very sad one day when I need to leave Ghana.
Thank you so much for your time, Your Excellency.